I think like Siakam and John Collins, they're both very athletic players, and this will be the Raptors fully committing to the small ball lineup if this were to happen. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Clutch Takes, a channel where we talk about all things going on in the NBA with a focus on the Toronto Raptors. Today we're going to be talking about John Collins, as he seems to be wanting out an odd place in Atlanta, and Atlanta doesn't seem to be in love with him, so they look like they want to trade him before he becomes RFA status, and the Raptors could be a possible destination, so let's talk about it. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe, as it really helps us out a lot and it means a lot to us. And also make sure to like and comment on this video, as it makes it seen to more Raptors fans and it gets more people into discussion. So John Collins has a cheap contract that can be matched. He's only making $4 million right now, and he's a 6'9" player that can shoot threes and rebound. And he's really young with a lot of potential and would fit really well with his Raptors core. The problem with John Collins is, since he is an RFA, he obviously wants a lot of money in free agency. So is that Fred VanVleet money, or is he looking for like a max contract like Pascal Siakam, or is it in between?
In the past 2 years, he's been averaging 20 and 10 for so long, and he's really young. He's 23, so averaging those numbers with a lot of shots in the three, and he's 50, 40, 90 almost every year. Besides this year, it just seems like he has a lot of potential to become a really good star. I think that a lot of the time he gets held back since Trae Young has came into the league, and now that his team is a bunch of young stars, that he's just not being utilized well.
Okay, so for the trade you see on the screen, unfortunately in this trade we're gonna have to be trading OG. I don't think Norman Powell or picks would equal out to the value of John Collins. Remember, he's not no garbage player. He's almost like a fringe all-star. So OG Anunoby would have to go into this deal, which makes this even harder, as OG's contract is a poison pill contract. And as you can see on the screen, we had to put the Knicks in this deal. The Knicks are a perfect team to fill the cap since they have so much of it. So for the Raptors, they're getting John Collins and a first-round pick, as the uncertainty of John Collins staying with the Raptors puts a first-round pick into the deal. I do think John Collins, if he was traded, there would be some sort of agreement, but this is just put in there just to make sure. And for the Atlanta Hawks, OG Anunoby's going over there. He's a much better defensive player than John Collins. He's definitely not as good offensively, but that's not really what they need, as with Trae Young and DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish and a bunch of other guys, they have the three-point shooting and they have the offense necessary. They just need a solid defender, and OG is really valuable, and this would be a really big win for them, for someone who doesn't want to be there possibly. And for the Knicks, like I said before, this is just them using their cap space to get some extra picks. They get 2 second-round picks into the deal. And I don't know about this deal. Trading OG would be really tough. And the thing I think about this deal that kind of turns me away is, I don't know how much of a ceiling raiser John Collins is. Yes, he's really young, but our team, we're looking for that guy that's the number one closer, like Kawhi Leonard was to an extent, or a center. He doesn't necessarily fix the center position for the height, and he doesn't necessarily be a closer, at least not yet. So it's a little bit I'm not sure if you want to invest too much into that, but obviously the potential is there.
Well, I feel like an argument someone would make against you would be that Siakam has been having a lot of pressure being the number one option for a long time now, for the past 2 years, and I feel like that the Siakam would play better if he had that stress lifted off his shoulders. And I think John Collins being side by side with him in the forwards would be helping him a lot. So then they would play really good as a duo.
Yeah, I agree. I think Siakam and John Collins, they're both very athletic players, and this will be the Raptors fully committing to the small ball lineup if this were to happen. Let's say for example, VanVleet, Powell, Siakam, Collins, and then you still need a center. That could be something that the Raptors roll with. And if that center is just someone who's a smaller value, like a JaVale McGee, or if it's someone else, like an Andre Drummond as that such. But it definitely is interesting. I don't know. I don't think this necessarily happens. It depends how much Masai values John Collins and thinks how good he can be. Thing about John Collins is that it is a downgrade over OG. You're arguably trading your best defender on the team. So what does that do with the Raptors' identity? Does it change their identity? Does Nick Nurse like John Collins? Definitely the Raptors would play with more pace if John Collins was on the team.
Yeah, this isn't like a thing where this isn't a trade that we necessarily want. It's just a trade that we're throwing out there that could happen, as if like Raptors need some scoring and John Collins is a good scorer as a young player already. So I feel like that the Raptors have a lot of trade assets and a trade could be happening this year. And like Dan said, we don't think OG should necessarily be traded for anything because he still has a lot of potential in him, and he still has a lot because he's been playing really well lately too. Like he's averaging like 14, 15 points per game this year, which is his highest ever. So it still probably wouldn't happen, but it's just a thing we threw out there.
Yeah, like Evan just said, like this trade is not a trade that we're vouching for necessarily. It definitely would be an interesting scenario if it were to happen. But we're not saying the Raptors should be trading OG, and we're not saying the Raptors should be going after John Collins. John Collins is just a name that's on the market right now, and it's always interesting to talk about what their player fit would be on the Raptors, as the Raptors are obviously lacking something. They need to choose one direction to go into, and obviously losing does not seem like that direction, so they need someone else to push his team further into the winning direction.
All right, that's all we're going to talk about today. And I hope you guys like this discussion, and let us know in the comments what you think about OG and Collins trade would look like, or if you would even want that to happen. Thanks for watching the video. See you guys next time.